Tonight, Sydney's countdown to 2012. We're set for another spectacular New Year's Eve celebration, and we have coverage from all the key vantage points. Also tonight, a young father shot dead in his home in Chester Hill. The end-of-year rush for first home buyers. And celebrity couple Katie and Russell call it quits.
This is 9 News with Sarah Harris.
Good evening. Tonight's the night Sydney shows the world how to party. We're about to welcome 2012 with the most spectacular New Year's fireworks display on Earth. Here's the live shot from the 9 News helicopter right now, and the clouds have cleared to a beautiful evening and 1.5 million people are crowding around Sydney Harbour. Tonight, we're covering it all, from the Opera House to Kirribilli, on the water and from the very top of Sydney Tower. But first, Tim McMillan reports on how partygoers have prepared for the big night.
Location, location, location.
Sometimes I get a good feeling.
Kirribilli, Blues Point, always highly sought after, but Mrs Macquarie's chair is the ultimate prize, with huge queues of revellers to be taking the Time to Dream theme literally.
We've been here since 10:30 and now it's almost 2 o'clock.
By the time the gates opened, that queue resembled a world record conga line.
You've got the best fireworks. It's the centre of the world, so we've travelled half of it to be here.
It's a scene of a lifetime for us.
With 7 tonnes of fireworks and the chance to be one of the first in the world to see in the new year, visitors from around the globe will make up a big chunk of the 1.5 million people joining tonight's Harbour party.
Happy New Year!
The Lord Mayor confident Sydney will send a special message to the world.
We are a multicultural country living in harmony, and they will see that.
Some want to dazzle just as much as the fireworks.
Happy New Year!
For the slightly more sophisticated, it was a last-minute frenzy for facials, nails and hair. While tonight's focus is the harbour, not everyone's heading to the city. With suburban fireworks in the north, south, east and west, others were stocking up today to be at home. But every big night comes to an end, and for when the time comes, there'll be 200 more cabs on the road, extra train and bus services and a few more ferries into the early hours to get weary and possibly woozy revellers back home.
And Tim, it looks like you've got a pretty good spot there at Kirribilli. How's the crowd there?
Thousands here already, Sarah, and the crowds are still pouring in. It's a pretty relaxed atmosphere at the moment. Lots of families here. Currently, you can see lots of picnic blankets out and the tents are up as well as umbrellas. The sun's beating down here. So it's a pretty relaxed atmosphere at the moment. I'm sure that'll change, though, as we get closer to the 9 o'clock fireworks and then the midnight fireworks. I dare say it'll be a bit more raucous down here if this wasn't one of the dry zones. And look, I know everyone talks about Mrs Mac's chair as being the ideal spot to watch the fireworks, but really, I don't know if you can get anywhere quite as close as Kirribilli. You can see the bridge. It's so close here, you can almost reach out and touch it. And look, if the weather stays as fine as it is now, it's a beautiful clear sky. It should be an incredible show tonight, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Tim. Well, of all the great spots to be tonight, you can't beat being right on the Sydney Harbour. Live to Davina Smith at Farm Cove. And Davina, plenty of people on the water.
Oh, you can't blame them either, Sarah. It is absolutely stellar conditions out here. They're expecting between 3,000 and 5,000 boats on the water tonight. Can you believe that? They've got to be in position by 8 p.m. because that's when the exclusion zones come into place. They really can't move until 12:45 a.m. and that's the moment that water police really are bracing for. After the fireworks, when everyone starts to make that mad dash home, the police really are reminding the boaties to respect that 6 knots no wash rule, because already there has been one arrest on the harbour this afternoon. No traffic, no crowds, no worries. Why not ring in the new year? Ringing wet. By midday, some of the best bays around Sydney Harbour were already full of boats. Sailors sip champagne starboard side.
Cheers! Happy New Year!
They picnicked by piers and dozens docked off Mrs Macquarie's chair. What time did you get in?
About 7 o'clock last night.
Probably one of the best spots in the world.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Just a kiss!
And making sure everything was above board, the water police patrolling our harbour.
Yeah, we've already had one bullfed today who's been arrested for prescribed concentration of alcohol in the harbour.
Finding some turf on the harbour surf's always tough at New Year's, and as usual, Cockatoo Island was a sea of tents. And for those with no sea legs but plenty of cash to splash, Fort Denison would probably float your boat. But it's booked out.
The highlights of the menu this evening are the snapper consomme is an amuse-bouche with Harvey-based scallops and a Veruga caviar, followed by an entree of poached southern rock lobster.
But wherever you spend it on the water in Sydney at New Year's, the view is sure to be priceless. Davina Smith, 9 News.
The home base for tonight's fireworks coverage is at the Opera House. 9's Cameron Williams and Jacinta Campbell are there. Look at you two. What's the atmosphere like there?
It is absolutely glorious, Says. The weather's been very kind to us. We've got the best view of the best fireworks on the best harbour in the world, so what's not to like? And throw in the lovely Jacinta Campbell. I'm going to have a great night.
It's going to be fantastic. I mean, we've got jets flying overhead. We've had previews of the performances tonight. It's going to be spectacular. We really do have the hottest tickets in town.
We do, and we're at the Lord Mayor's party right on Bennelong Point at the tip of the Opera House there, so a lot of adult entertainment here as we look forward to the midnight fireworks. But at 8:30 for the 9 o'clock fireworks, Kermit's going to do the countdown.
We do. Now, I have a little crush on Kermit, so move over, Miss Piggy. He's mine.
All right, well, no resolutions from us because we only break them, don't we?
Yes.
It's going to be a fantastic night. We'll promise you that, Sarah. Don't forget, 8:30 for the family fireworks, and then the big ones at 11:30. We're going to count out 2011 with a bang.
Yeah, great. I'll be watching from the couch. Thanks very much. Well, of course, New Year's Eve is one of the busiest nights of the year for police, and nearly 3,000 officers will be on patrol across Sydney. Assistant Commissioner Mark Murdoch joins us live. Good evening, Assistant Commissioner. There are alcohol bans in force across large parts of the city tonight. Are you confident you'll be able to enforce them?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but that's not so much the point for us, Sarah. It's about making sure everyone enjoys the night safely, but we'll do our very, very best to enforce them.
OK, and what advice do you have for people out celebrating tonight?
The biggest message we've got at this particular point in time, and it'll become more important later in the night, is just for people to be patient. It's the biggest night of the year in Sydney and a big, big night for everyone. So there's around 1.5 million people in the city enjoying the fireworks. It's going to take a while to get people home. We're pretty well practiced at doing that, but people just need to be patient, and we would ask them to be so.
Yeah, let's hope they behave. Assistant Commissioner Mark Murdoch, thank you very much for your time. And overlooking it all tonight is Amelia Ballinger, who's on top of Sydney Tower. Amelia, what a spot. The weather has certainly improved as well.
Oh, Sarah, it is absolutely brilliant up here at the moment. The sun has finally managed to break through those clouds that were lurking around a little bit earlier, and it looks set to be a beautiful night for revellers wherever you might be around Sydney. It will be a little bit cooler than anticipated, though. It's currently 23 degrees in the city, and that will drop to about 19 degrees by midday, but a spectacular day for the start of 2012 tomorrow. Forecasters are expecting blue skies and tops of 27 degrees in the city and 31 in our west. So ideal conditions for the fireworks tonight, and Sarah, by the sounds of it, absolutely brilliant weather for tomorrow.
OK, thank you very much, Amelia. And the fireworks will be broadcast here on 9 from 8:30 tonight. And for the first time, we're inviting you to tweet your New Year's messages using the hashtag.
Well, despite the hangover, Sydney woke to a glorious new year, basking in summer sunshine and memories of the world's biggest party. Davina Smith is live at Bondi tonight. Davina, it feels like the celebrations are still underway.
Oh, Wendy, the weather is certainly cause for celebration down here. There are literally thousands of people at the beach. You'd be hard-pressed trying to find a spare spot of sand at the moment. The only complaint is that a bit of an easterly's blowing, so there's a few blue bottles on the beach. But after a very soggy start to summer, it's been a stellar start to 2012. Good morning, sunshine. Happy New Year. Not so happy for some, not much sleep for others.
Have you slept?
No.
Still ready to keep partying?
Sydney's hangover started hurting long before the sun started shining. 48 tonnes of rubbish collected across the city.
Start again. So tired after last night, I've got to say.
Lord Mayor, we feel your pain. And finding somewhere cool and dark to recover was impossible, as Sydney finally served up a taste of summer.
All we need at Manly is a sunny day, and the people come from everywhere.
By midday, our beaches were packed, although some were still hitting the bottle. Sandcastles, surfboards and sunscreen aplenty. We haven't had to put that on this year so far, have we?
No, we haven't. I know, we're very happy to be applying it.
So where have you come from?
From Hungary.
What do you think of our weather?
Oh, it's really good.
Well, it hasn't been.
It's been raining the whole entire night, the first part of summer.
You haven't been very impressed with it?
Yeah.
Sydney's first baby of the year arrived at North Shore Private Hospital. Xavier Giel's parents arrived minutes earlier.
We checked in at midnight and he was born at 8 minutes past.
So very quick.
And at 12:12 on the first day of 2012, Cass Culver was born. He was 3 weeks premature. His parents had been watching the 9 p.m. fireworks.
At about 10 o'clock, Gretchen sort of said, I could feel a few rumblings, and I was sort of slightly refreshed, and we thought we'd better get up here.
Their New Year's resolution?
This is number 3 and number last.
Davina Smith, 9 News.
Well, even stripped of all of the hype, Sydney's fireworks usually stand head and shoulders above the rest of the world's. Last night was no exception either, as 7 tonnes of explosives lit up the skies above the harbour.
They came, they saw, they partied. Sydney's New Year fireworks are among the most spectacular on the planet. More than 1 million revellers from across Sydney, Australia and the globe squeezed onto the harbour foreshores to soak it up. The 9 p.m. fireworks got the thumbs up from the kids.
They were the best fireworks ever. Some were rainbow and some were gold. I'm in India!
Then as midnight approached, all eyes turned once again to the bridge. Multicoloured cloud shells, new to this year's show, blasted into a perfect night sky, drowning out the oohs and ahs with each new explosion of colour. The endless rainbow signalled the dawn of a new year and the time to dream. The spectacular show beamed to 1 billion people around the world.
Fantastic, quite original this year compared to the other years.
It was so good, our first time in Sydney. It was awesome.
Upriver, Parramatta also welcomed 2012 with a bang, while at Bondi, Snoop Dogg was in the house. Around the nation, party fever had taken hold. In Melbourne, though, there were some unexpected fireworks as the Arts Centre spire caught fire. In Brisbane, Southbank was the focus of festivities, while beaches were the popular choice on the Gold Coast and in Perth. But every party, no matter how good, has to end sometime. For the masses, it was a long road home, whatever route you took. Tim McMillan, 9 News.
Well, Sydney might have been the best, but it wasn't the first city to see in the new year. The party actually began further east, and as the world turned, cities right around the globe reached midnight and joined in with the celebrations.
It's the celebration that ricochets around the world. The Kiwis leading the way, with Auckland lighting up. Tokyo welcomed in the new year with a boom and the bong of temple bells. Hong Kong knows how to party, with Beijing and Shanghai turning on high-tech laser shows. Plenty of gunpowder going up in smoke in Taiwan. The country's tallest building, the perfect platform for an explosion of colour and noise. The world turned and New Year arrived in London, Big Ben ticking over into 2012. A showery night, but nothing could dampen the river of fire along the Thames. And a finale that rivalled Sydney. Then the countdown in Times Square, New York. That signalled big bangs in the Big Apple. Peter Stefanovic, 9 News.
It is not often New Year's revellers get the thumbs up from police, but Sydney's tough alcohol restrictions seem to be taking effect. Officers say overall it was a family-friendly celebration, though there were still the inevitable arrests.
New Year's Eve in Sydney is all about putting on a show. And fireworks aside, there was no shortage of action.
Just relax here.
As the crowds rolled in yesterday evening, so too did the boys and girls in blue. And it wasn't long before they were at the centre of it all. On the foreshore, the alcohol exclusion zones meant bad behaviour was limited. But it was where the restrictions stopped that the dramas started. And where there was trouble, well, the police bore the brunt of it.
You swung a punch at me.
Round one went to the force as they stood their ground against the masses trying to crowd into the rocks before the main event. From there, it was all about separating the bad from the good and trying to keep the peace in the lead up to midnight. Of course, there was a small break while revellers rang in the new year, but it wasn't long until it all started up again. Of course, this is the ugly part of the night. It's when the fireworks are over and the celebrations are starting to wind down that the trouble really begins. At Bondi, a music festival on the beach kept emergency services busy as police and ambulance officers dealt with those who had overindulged. There were 57 arrests in total last night, a figure up on last year's 40. But overall, police were pleased.
This year, the people of Sydney have celebrated the new year very, very well.
It didn't end there, though, with the dramas spilling into today. 6 people, 4 of them teenagers in one car, were seriously injured in a high-speed crash in the Blue Mountains, while one man, believed to be still affected by alcohol, was pulled from underneath a train at Liverpool this morning. Amelia Ballinger, 9 News.